Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of Thrill Source. Today we'll be talking about Playland Park, located in the city of Rye, New York, in Westchester County. Playland is known as one of those very historic, classic amusement parks still operating today. The park first opened back in 1928, and it is owned by Westchester County. It's actually the only government-owned amusement park in America, and it is also operated by the government. Now, a lot of you may have heard who live nearby or follow the park that there have been contract talks over the past few years regarding having a private company come in to actually operate the park while still being owned by the county. As of 2018, the park is still operated by the Westchester County Parks Department, and it remains to be seen whether that contract will actually come to fruition. But anyhow, the Parks Department does a very nice job of operating the park, and Playland is still a very, very beautiful classic amusement park for people to enjoy. Now, Playland is actually the only Art Deco themed amusement park in the country. It opened under an Art Deco theme, and originally, before the park opened in 1928, it was kind of a series of carnival rides, hotels, a Coney Island-esque type place, rowdy crowds, and Westchester County actually demolished that whole area and hoped to make a very nice, high-class amusement park in building Playland, having nice landscaping, etc. So today, Playland is in its 90th season. It's celebrating its 90th anniversary, and it is one of two amusement parks to have the distinction of being a National Historic Landmark and on the National Register of Historic Places, of course, the other one being Nobles in Pennsylvania. Playland still has 7 original rides from the year 1928 that operate in the park today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these 7 original classic rides, since they're really not things that you could find at other parks. The first being the Kiddie Coaster, which is located in the park's Kiddieland. It actually circles the entire Kiddieland. The Kiddie Coaster is a wooden roller coaster, and it's a very, very unique wooden coaster. And Ace, the American Coaster Enthusiast, will actually be making it a landmark this coming weekend, July 27th, 2018, when this video is being filmed. So it's a very, very unique coaster. Second, you have the Kiddie Carousel, which is kind of just an old historic carousel. Nothing really special about it besides the original wood-carved horses, which are very nice looking. They were just refurbished this year, 2018. And it's just a ride that has kind of stood the test of time. And a lot of the rides in Kiddieland are actually much older. Although they may not be original rides like the Kiddie Carousel, there are a lot of old rides from the 50s and 60s that still operate at the park today. Ye Olde Mill is a Sally Corporation dark ride, and this is a very classic indoor dark boat ride. It was redone in the 90s, again by Sally Corp, but again, opening in 1928, it's a very, very cool ride, about 7 minutes long almost. We're going to have a POV on the channel also for you to check out on Thrill Source with a Ye Olde Mill POV, so we highly recommend checking that out. The next original ride is the Grand Carousel. It's actually a 1915 Mangels Carousel, all original wood-carved horses, and it actually opened at a park in Connecticut and was moved to Playland for the 1928 opening, so it celebrated its 100th anniversary a few years ago in 2015. Unfortunately, for the 2018 season, the Grand Carousel will remain closed, and likely for at least a part of the 2019 season. There was an electrical fire that broke out in the roof of the Grand Carousel last season in 2017 that caused significant damage to the structure surrounding the actual ride. Now, the ride itself wasn't too badly damaged. There was water damage on many of the horses, so all 66 original horses have been removed, and they've actually been shipped to Connecticut for a complete restoration. So hopefully that ride will be reopening at some point next season or the season after. But the good thing is that the horses will ride again, thankfully. and it really is a very beautiful ride, all original, and actually worth about $8 million. It was ranked one of the top 10 carousels in the world in a book. So it's a very, very beautiful ride. Next up is the Whip, and a lot of you, I'm sure, know about the classic Whip rides. I believe they originated at Coney Island. The Whip at Playland is a great ride. It still runs very, very well. They take very good care of it. Now, I haven't been on any other whips besides the one at Playland, but from what I've heard from several people, and you could read this online, a lot of people seem to think that the one at Playland is the fastest whip left in the world, that they run it faster than any whip left in the world. So feel free to weigh in the comments if you've been on the one at Playland or been on other whips. But it really is a very great classic ride, again, an original ride. The Derby Racer is probably the most unique ride at the park. It's a steeplechase type ride, again, an original ride. It's one of only 2 steeplechases left in America and 3 left in the world. The other one is, of course, at Cedar Point. The Derby Racer was actually refurbished last season with the jog system being fixed or repaired. And the jog system is basically a system of cables underneath the ride. All of the cables were all original, and they had become rusted and stopped working. So basically what happened was, years ago, there was just plywood placed over the jog system on each horse, so they were stationary and only went up and down and moved with the platform. Now the horses in each row actually race each other throughout the ride, moving back and forth with the jog system. The Derby Racer is a very, very fun ride. Again, a classic ride. The horses were repainted a few years ago. They take great care of it. It goes at spins at speeds of about 20 miles an hour. And the amazing thing with the ride is that the operators jump on and off of the platform and tell you to lean to your left, because you have to lean to your left in order to keep yourself physically on the ride and that centrifugal force from taking you off of the ride. So it's really a great ride, and even greater to know that it's been running and still going strong for 90 years now. And of course, the park's most famous attraction is the Dragon Coaster. The Dragon Coaster is original from 1928. It is a wooden coaster with a 75-foot drop and a classic tunnel, a dark tunnel that the train travels through. And of course, I'm sure many of you have seen the picture of the train being swallowed up by the dragon. As the train flies into the dragon's mouth, it has a roaring sound effect, mist and flashing lights on the dragon's mouth, and you go through the dark tunnel and come out the other side. Now the ride has Morgan trains on it now, which some people say it runs worse than it originally did with the new Morgan trains. Of course, I was not able to ride it with the original train since I wasn't born yet. But it is still a good classic family ride, and for a ride that's 90 years old, still runs extremely, extremely well. It's not too rough. There's some jackhammering around the flat turns, but again, this is not a ride that you're going to be looking for airtime on. It's a classic family ride for you to enjoy. Also, 2 rides that are dark rides in the park, not necessarily original rides or National Historic Landmarks, but they are very unique rides since there are not a lot of classic dark rides left in the country at our parks. So these include the Zombie Castle and the Flying Witch. Now the Zombie Castle originally opened as the Laugh in the Dark in the 1930s. They're both now pretty much the same in terms of effects. They have classic 1970s effects, as the Zombie Castle was refurbished in the late 70s or early 80s, and the Flying Witch opened in the early 70s. They're basically gory, classic dark rides with a bunch of effects, but it's pretty cool since they're very classic rides. As for the roller coasters in the park, we already mentioned the Kiddie Coaster and the Dragon Coaster, but in addition, there are a few more modern coasters in the park. Nothing really too big. There's the Superflight Coaster, which is a Zamperla Volair. I know some people like them, some people hate them, but it is a Volair. Runs well. I personally don't mind the Volair. It's not my favorite coaster, but I don't think it's as horrible as people make it out to be. I find Superflight to be a pretty fun coaster. There's an average Zamperla Crazy Mouse and a Zamperla Family Flyer coaster. Also in the park, you have 2 water rides, including the log flume, which personally is my favorite log flume that I have ever been on. It's not the longest. It has 2 drops, a 20-foot drop and a 40-foot drop. But it is a greatly themed log flume. There are 2 tunnels with mist that you go through. There are waterfalls on top of the tunnels. So it's a very nice log flume. You get wet, but not too wet. Then you also have the Playland Plunge, which is a boat ride with 1 single drop where you get absolutely drenched. And then there's a bridge going over where the boat falls down, where you have another opportunity to get splashed. That's a very popular, great ride at the park. You get very wet, great on a hot day, not great on a cool day because it takes a very long time to dry off. In addition to those rides, you also have a lot of flat rides at Playland. They have a great package of flat rides. They have a S&S 85-foot double shot. You have a yo-yo ride. You have a Music Express. There is a wide variety of flat rides at the park. Mostly family rides, nothing too big. You do have some rides that go upside down, a looping ride, the Sky Flyer, but other than that, it's just a great collection of family rides. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, there is the Kiddieland with a lot of great kiddie rides. A fun slide. They have shows in the Kiddieland. It's a great place to take the family, great place to take the kids. In terms of entertainment, the park has a lot of different concerts throughout the summer season. There's also a musical show, Step Right Up, in the 2018 season at the Music Tower stage. And there are shows throughout the day in Kiddieland. They have shows with the park's mascot, Coaster the Dragon, and Katie the Cat, and a lot of shows for the younger kids. In terms of deals and special events, there are always special events going on throughout the season. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays are $15 nights. You get a $15 wristband for unlimited admission. And every Friday, after July 4th through the rest of the summer, is Friday night fireworks. Now, I highly, highly recommend the fireworks. The fireworks are spectacular. So, if you're around on a Friday night, if you live in the area and want to take a quick visit, Friday nights are a great time to go to see the fireworks. So, all in all, Playland is a beautiful classic park run by the Westchester County Parks Department. Also, if you live in Westchester County, residents, by showing ID or a county parks pass, get discounts on rides admission or free admission into the amusement park. If you're a non-resident, it's $10 for a spectator pass or $30 for a full-day ride wristband. They also sell points on a fun card if you only want to go on a ride or 2. For more information, you could visit playlandpark.org or parks.westchestergov.com to check out a lot of the great events that the park has. Highly recommend checking it out, and look out for the Ye Olde Mill POV that'll also be on the channel on Thrill Source. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on social media. Thanks for watching.